Hello today. So we're just going to have a look at some fishing boats, trailer boats, just to see what some advice and some tips with regards to selecting a trailer boat. So there's lots of different varieties and age groups, and 2-stroke, 4-stroke, this is that and the other. So just to give you, really this video is to give you a bit of a sort of advice with regards to what is good value, I would say. So let's just start. I'm just trying to think we can find something here. I mean, just let's just go for a bit of a wander until we just find a few boats we can sort of talk about. So obviously you've got your aluminium hulls, you've got your fiberglass hulls, trailer boats. So this is primarily based on trailer boats. So I'm just trying to find. Start with like an old version sort of thing. So this one in front, it's what I call a Savage. That's an aluminium boat. That's quite old. It's probably 20-25 years old. It is a centre console. It's a little bit tatty, but a boat like this will actually get you out on the water and do the job. So the engine is a 2-stroke, and it actually looks quite good condition. So when you're selecting a second-hand boat, things you want to look for are like the transom. You notice here he's got some ply on there. He's reinforcing the transom. A lot of old boats have problems with transoms that they rot because of the plywood inside. When they drill holes for things like this, for like sounders, water gets in and it rots. Okay, and this is very expensive. Replacing the transom is very expensive, but sometimes they put like brackets, aluminium brackets over here. So there's all different things. You got the advantages and disadvantages of buying. If you're not using a boat a lot, there's no reason why an outfit like this wouldn't sort of just do a job. But personally, if you're gonna buy a boat, for me, you want to buy a good second-hand boat. Buying brand new is okay if you've got the money and you can afford it, fair enough. But you can save yourself a lot of money by buying something which has had hardly any use, which is like 10 or 15 years old. And buying privately is probably the best way to do it, and the cheapest. You know, you can spend $60,000, $80,000 on an aluminium fishing boat, but you could probably get it second hand for like, you know, $30,000-$40,000, which has got about 100 hours on it. So that would be my suggestion as a way forward. With regards to engines, 4-stroke is better than 2-stroke. You ain't got to worry about buying a load of 2-stroke oil. They're more fuel efficient. They are a bit heavier, but they're very reliable. It's almost like a petrol engine car. And this is a 150 Suzuki 4-stroke. That is a real beast of an engine on a very nice aluminium fishing boat. Yeah, I mean, that's a very expensive rig, this one. You know, you're probably looking at, God knows, getting on for bloody, you know, $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 just for something like this. Trailer-wise, that's a good trailer. It's a tandem trailer there. And when you're buying a second-hand boat, you want to be inspecting for sort of corrosion on the trailer, because obviously the trailer has to do like a warrant of fitness, as like a car does. You know, its road worthy certificate and all that sort of stuff. So it's that is a nice one. With regards to aluminium boats, you know, when selecting, you know, if I was looking at this aluminium boat here, this is not what they call a plate boat. This is just like, you know, it's probably about 3mm thickness aluminium. As well, if you go to something like this one, this bar crusher here, that is what they call a plate boat. and you're looking at about 6 mil there. Okay, so obviously the heavier the aluminium is on the hull, the better it's going to sort of you know, smack into the waves a bit better. This particular boat is a deep V hull. It's very sharp. It's very sort of a sharp sort of hull. It's designed for sort of you know, cutting through the waves. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of what you've got to bear in mind. Little aluminium boats, they are good to tow. They're very light, but they do catch the wind a bit. What else can we say about them? If they're a bit prone to dents and dings. If you're sort of on and off the trailer, or you know, the aluminium's quite thin. So like this here is probably about 3 mil. And if you've got an aluminium boat, I would just, if you're going to think about buying one, just be very mindful when you go into petrol stations. There's steel bollards in petrol stations, and that will absolutely cause havoc with this stuff here. Okay, so you've got to be very cautious about manoeuvring an aluminium boat, as where versus a fiberglass aluminium boat. If you scuff that, the fiberglass won't dent in. It will just you'll sort of scuff it, and you can probably sort of patch repair it. Fiberglass aluminium, for me, there's not much difference between having a trailer boat. There's a bit of a weight difference. I think fiberglass will probably run a little bit better. With better hull performance. So yeah, 4-stroke is definitely the way to go. There's nothing wrong with 2-stroke. If you don't use your boat very often, you only use it on holidays, 2-stroke is fine, as long as it's sort of serviced regularly, this, that and the other. Now this hull here, that's what they call a cathedral hull, and that is a nice little boat just for the estuaries and the bays, but that would slam a lot. That would make a lot of noise when you're smacking into waves. So, but if you just want a little boat just to go out on the water, okay, that's not an offshore boat, that's just an inshore estuary sort of boat. Okay, what you've got to bear in mind when you go out to sea in a little boat, you are quite vulnerable in a little boat. If a bigger boat comes past and has got some wake, that's enough to sort of spook you a little bit. So just bearing in mind, little boats do have vulnerabilities on what they can actually do. For me, a trailer boat, a perfect size trailer boat would be about 18 feet. 18 feet, and you want about a 90 horsepower 4-stroke, which would give you plenty of speed, and it's not too big and clumsy to tow and to launch and retrieve, and you can still fish offshore in it. So this is what is this? This is a Sportscraft Pacific Marine. It's a 585. That's a very nice one. See, this is a prime example of quite a nice one, which has been stashed away. It's a 2-stroke engine. It's a 125. Plenty of power, but if it's well maintained, offer a lot of performance. So it's got a little dink in the prop there. You can see little tiny little one of them. It's not too bad. Transom looks all right. I'm looking to see if I can see a price on it, but I can't. It's got an oldish sort of trailer, but it looks in good condition. But you do really need to inspect all the ins and outs of it to see what sort of condition it is. Another thing to look for when you're buying a fiberglass boat, or any boat really, is always look at the hull for any damage or repairs. See if someone's been sort of. So that's a very, very solid knock on that. So it's quite a good performance. They've got a new one of these actually in the shop there, but this is the sort of thing where you can save yourself a lot of money and get the same performance from a new one. So what is that? 585, perfect size. It's got a McKay trailer. Tandem. Could do with a 4-stroke on it really, but it's still inside very nice seats. It's probably about 15 years old, this boat, maybe 20 years old, but that is, you know, solid as. Alright, what else have we got? What else have we got around here? Setting a console, Young 500. So here's a 4-stroke 115, nice bit of power there. Now these things here, these stabilizer things, I can't remember exactly what they're called, but I read up about them, and this is an add-on. This is something you buy add on. Now I personally, it's to do with adjusting the height of the engine so it performs better, or stops the boat from sort of porpoising. This is that and the other. But personally, I was told that it makes steering a little bit funny. So I've never been one for these sort of add-on things. Just trying to think what else we can talk about with regards to a trailer boat. These things here, you have to put a bung in there before you set sail. Okay, they're either in the boat or they're on a little bit of string or whatever. Sometimes they leak around here, and inside here is your buoyancy chamber. It's for condensation and stuff like that, you see. So buoyancy and condensation, so you just release the bung at the end of your trip, and then condensation pulls out the center. Sometimes you should put some sort of mastic around here, silicone, Sikaflex or something like that. Water can get in and flood that chamber and make your boat unstable, and you've got salt water in there. You've got to flush it out with water, otherwise you're going to start getting corrosion. So just a little something you've got to look out for. It's got some nice handrails on it. How much time have we got on this? 12 minutes. So far. What else have we got on here? Someone's welded on a little metal piece here for protection when you beach it on a concrete ramp. It's a good idea. They can usually nowadays they sort of get a strip of aluminium and they just weld it, because that's where you're going to get all your scuffs and things like that. But when you're buying a boat, you really want to inspect it. Inspect the hull, the trailer, the inside, everything really thoroughly. And if there's anything which puts you off the boat, well then don't buy it. That's as simple as that. And you keep looking until you find either a repair or something, wait until you're completely satisfied, because at the end of the day, they're not cheap. Even second-hand ones, they're not cheap. You're looking at sort of spending $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. And another thing, when you're buying one, you want to be looking at the resale opportunities as well. If you decide it's not for you after a few years, you want to be buying a local product or a sort of a countrywide product which you know you can flick on. I wouldn't necessarily choose international boats as an option. You want to go for local sort of brands what have got a good reputation. What else have we got here? A Stressy. See, look how beamy this one is. So that one would be nice for fishing. And it's not a big boat either. It's not a big boat. It doesn't look a big boat. It looks about 17 foot, 18 foot. It's just on a single trailer, but it's a brand new trailer. But perfect for fishing. Nice bit of beam on it, look. And you don't need a massive engine. 70 horsepower is probably as big as, as small as you'd want to go, but that would still get you up on the plane and still do a good job. So this is by Stressy. And this, you filled your fuel up there. That's a breather, that thing there. That's a breather. Canopy. Battery box down there. Seats, cushions. Very basic inside, but get you out there. But then again, what you got to look at, when do you use your boat most often? On holidays. It's Easter, Christmas. So when you're looking a few weeks of a year when it's starting to get a lot of use. So do you really want to spend, 60 grand on a boat, or do you want to sort of spend, look for a very good quality private boat, a private seller, for sort of half that cost? Because at the end of the day, if the engine's only got about 100 hours on it, it's virtually brand new anyway. If you're looking for your first boat and things, you've got to be very careful with what you sort of look for, really. Older boats here, which not sort of selling for some reason. What's this? A 150. bar crusher. Now these are quite interesting boats. I think I'm just trying to think if this is the one where it floods. I'm not sure. What's that under there? I'm not sure, but I think water goes in there, floods in, and acts as a bit of a buoyancy sort of control. But that's a nice engine. But very, very costly to run. A 150 boat this size. It's probably got a 150 litre tank. I mean, you're looking at $200, $250 to fill it up. I mean, Jesus Christ, you know. Okay, you'll get a sort of you can get a fair bit of distance with that, but it's you have to do your research on your engine performance and fuel economy and all that sort of stuff if you're, you know, looking for the best option, what's going to suit you where you're fishing. With regards to, you do generally pay a lot more for hardtops like this. You can probably get the same boat in a centre console version, and you'll be surprised. You can actually, without this, you can get sort of 10 grand or so off. Now, the advantages of a hardtop, okay, if it rains, great. If you're going for a bar or something like that, you're going to get a lot of water coming over the top, and then this will it will hit this and spray off. Okay, so it's even got a little deflector here to stop it from sort of running back in to the deck. If you haven't got one of these and you're doing bar crossings, it's actually quite dangerous because water can come over and start flooding the boat. But if you're fishing in an area where it's relatively sort of around islands and it's calm and there's no bars, this, that and the other, you might want to look at a centre console is your preferred sort of option for costs and things like that. And it does have a nice feel, being able to sort of walk around the entire you know, area of the boat. So yeah, I mean, that does whack on a lot of extra cost, as where versus this sort of thing, a much cheaper boat. But then again, this is not a plate boat. This is probably, that's about 4 mil, 4 mil that is. 2 mil up there, 3 mil there, whatever. So it just depends on what you're sort of, obviously this is a completely different sort of boat. This is more geared up to being in a marina at a berth or something like that. It's actually got a anti-foul on the side of the boat for bacterial growth, and it's got a sort of